Although you can get combinations here. You can get sweet and savory, so I go with that.
Sweet and savory?
Sweet.
Yeah,
We do that in
so-
Chicago too.
It's all mixed.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Pocket Dimension. We're just four dudes and dudettes who have sold out their soul to the tentacled overlord.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Well, hey there,
Oh,
everybody.
hey there.
Oh, dear
Hello.
Lord.
Oh, dear
What's
Lord.
happening?
What is
Oh, my
happening?
goodness
What-
gracious.
What are we? Who is this?
Who is
Matt,
this?
where are you?
Where are we? Yes. I'm Fitz. What's up, y'all?
Yo, I'm Evan, y'all. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
What was
as cool
that?
as Fitz. Just trying to be as cool as Fitz. What's up?
Word up, my homies. I'm
Ooh.
AK.
Ooh.
Okay. I'll see myself out. And we have a very I can't do this. We have a very special guest with us today. Who is this? Who is this guy?
Hello, I'm DT. You might know me from the Discord.
All the way from Scotland right into your screens.
From Sunny Hell.
From Sunny Hell
Nice.
comes our resident radio demon. Yeah, Matt, we let Matt go off the grid this week. Haven't heard from him since Tuesday. Hope a cryptid didn't get him.
I know.
He's dead.
Bigfoot got him on Tuesday. We won't know until what? Saturday? Sunday? Something like that?
Actually, I think maybe he's back today. We'll see. We'll keep you guys posted if Matt comes back from his off the grid time. DT, what do our friends who don't already know you need to know about you? I'm putting you totally on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to do this. Apologies.
What do they need to know about me? From Scotland.
What?
Complete nerd. That's all you really need to know.
Great.
Okay.
Shooketh.
Yeah,
Great.
hell yeah.
DT joined our fun back in the original coverage of Daggerheart. And we said, get in here and talk more nerdy stuff with us. Who else is in the chat? We've got Seth. We've got Big Bro DM. We've got Paul, who made it on time for this for once. Your words, not mine. We've got Tabletop Phoenix, who says, I'm here for TPD. Don't care about D&D 2014 or 2024. Hashtag spicy. Glenn came and went. Kai is the new. So we have a membership now on right here on YouTube. $1 whole a month gets you access to the TPD emotes.
Yes.
That's
we
it.
do
right.
still recommend, if you want to give us your dollars, Patreon goes the farthest way, and we do have a $2 tier there. However, if you just wish to also sell your soul to the Tentacle Lord for that sweet, sweet emoji, you can do so with $1 on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Or you can sell it to me for one small favor.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell y'all that DT is actually here to steal souls and not talk to us about D&D. Was that okay?
Well, it's okay because we don't have any.
True.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah.
I was the
sorry.
reason for the satanic panic. It was me.
It was you, specifically.
Nice. Don't you miss Satanic Panic just a little bit? Anybody?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Crickets.
We liked D&D before it was cool.
Totally. Oh, hell yeah.
I'm getting a note. Fitz, could we have a little more gain from you? You're a little quiet. Maybe YouTube is fixing it. We don't know.
Okay.
Well,
I'm pumping it up. I'm pumping
it on
this
up.
Pump it.
jam.
Pump
Cozy. I left off where so we've got Cozy Cassie, we've got Kai. Anyways.
Hey.
Oh, Kai is ready for favors, it looks like. So what are we talking about today, you guys?
Oh.
Does anybody know? Are we prepared?
No.
Yeah,
We're
we
talking
are.
about D&D 2024.
Uh-huh.
Or one D&D. Although I feel like people are saying D&D 24 now.
Yeah.
2024.
That seems to be what's trending.
Yeah.
So
I don't
it's-
love it, but whatever.
No.
Because DT and I were talking about this week. So it's it's D&D 5e 2024.
I mean, not really officially, but that seems to be what most people are calling it.
Yeah. They haven't mentioned the one D&D branding in any of the videos at all. They've just constantly called it D&D 2024.
Yeah.
So like 5e is just going to go on forever. The party never ends.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think in part, from what I was in my research that I did for today. It's you could play a party with 2024 characters and 2014 characters, and that's probably by design why it's still just 5e.
Yeah.
There's been
And-
talk that they're not going to do versions at all going forward, and that's maybe why this isn't 5.5e. They're wanting to get away from the version numbers completely. So I've heard.
Really?
Like it's just game
Really?
updates.
Yeah, it'll just be D&D, and then whatever year they've released that update. So maybe that's why they're just calling it D&D 2024.
Oh yeah, just give it cool like Apple names: Mojave, D&D, Mordor.
So are they gonna like number it like the iPhones and then just randomly skip a number
Yes.
at some point?
Yes.
or randomly add like a half number with a letter.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
D&D
we're playing-
12 Pro.
D&D. This is D&D SE.
Oh, don't give them ideas for different tiers.
Well, and that's what I saw some chatter in the chat a minute ago. Tabletop Phoenix kicking us off. I'm curious if D&D Beyond will switch everything to 2024 and force you to buy the new rule set to keep using it. Friends, this is what I was talking about last week exactly. Of like the feels like it could be a money grab. You know, with like, I know that right now we like, I am the worthy recipient of a lot of Fitz's prior purchases in D&D Beyond. Because we are in all of our campaigns together. And I'm just worried that now it's going to become this, like, you have to either have the full subscription of everything or constantly
You're very
be
worried.
buying. I'm very
You're so
worried.
worried
It's-
about
I
I'm
feel
very
like
D&D.
stressed about
Switch.
this.
Normally, I'm the like doomsday anti-capitalist.
I am
but you
doomsday
have been-
scrolling. Yep.
I feel this is all speculation, so we should hop off of that train real quick. But I would assume. that
Let's start
anything-
rumors today.
Let's start rumors. Yes.
Yes. Don't
All right, guys,
say
gather around
what
the
you've heard.
cafeteria
Say
table.
everything as if it's an absolute
As if it
fact.
is, let's manifest what we want and also what other people don't, and
Yes.
just be pure chaos gremlins today.
Yeah.
The floor is yours, Fitzco.
Great. Well, welcome to our cool kids. No, we're not the cool kids. We're the Hellfire table in the cafeteria where we
fair.
are starting some rumors today. One of which being, I would guess that subscription model or not, whatever, if you've bought something on D&D Beyond, they're going to honor it, right? Like, you should still be able to use it. You're able to use, like, the legacy races and things like that.
Mhm.
So I would assume that as long as
Yeah.
you've already purchased it, you're fine. Because if they were to change that or take that away in any sort of way, they've already seen what people do with the OGL. It's going to be a
Yeah.
riot. If you're like,
can
I paid
toggle on and off.
$29 and you're taking it away,
Mhm.
people would.
Oh yeah,
There would
they'll
be
riot.
riots in the streets.
This mouth agape. You really are going like full like positive poly while I go doomsday, and
I know.
like our gothiness has switched.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I know. You're so yeah. AK's got the haterade, the AKterade.
You.
But agreed, Fitz. There. I mean, if you can toggle on and off, any
Yeah.
third-party content, you can toggle off or on 2024 roles.
Yeah. And that's our good buddy
I'm with
Seth.
that.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Because you can already do that now with like Tasha's Cauldron and everything. You can opt into
Yeah.
the Origin Manager or opt out. So my guess is you just opt for 2014 or 2024.
And when is this stuff? I should know this. I'm so sorry that I'm here pretending to be an expert on all things TTRPGs and I have no idea. I know that we can pre-order this stuff, but when is it actually hitting? Does anybody know?
It's
September?
September for the PHB.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
The AKterade. I guess that's now a thing. I am very happy for everybody in the pocket dimension to be as a cult leader. You gotta drink the Kool-Aid.
I've got the specific dates here if you want them.
Yes, I do.
The 2024 Player's Handbook is September 17th. The 2024 DMG is November 12th. And the Monster Manual comes out on February 18th.
What? That is some big gaps.
And that's been one of the biggest complaints that I've seen so
Big,
far about
right,
it. Why are
big
they releasing
gaps.
it so far apart?
Am I
But
allowed to
they've
hate
done
on that?
before, though, right? That's how they rolled out the 5e. No?
I'm sure somebody, it might have been TTP, he was saying that he checked and he thought they all came out at essentially the same time, if not all on the same day. It was like much closer together, I believe.
Oh.
Interesting.
Because, yeah, September to February is kind of a large gap.
Mm-hmm.
But at least, God, what is
All right.
wrong with me?
All
Where
right,
is this
Paul.
positivity coming from?
I know.
But I was gonna say that at least, you know what? Maybe I am drinking the Flavor Aid. Maybe this is why I've been avoiding the D&D updates for a year, because I just wanted to be mad. And now that I'm watching the videos, they're hooking me in like a sucker.
They got you.
They got me. They got me bad. But from what I could tell, at least, because again, it's all speculation until we put our eyeballs on this thing, right? But apparently with the PHB, it's gonna have everything you need, at least for lower level stuff. You don't need the monster manual. Now they did specify, because obviously I brought the Druid homework to the table today. They did specify specifically that Moon Druids are gonna need the monster manual eventually. But like, as far as wizards with familiars and, you know, druids at lower levels, or most druids and then moon druids at lower levels, you should be able to get by with the player's handbook, because they're putting a bunch of creatures and stat blocks in the back. They're bulking that up from
it's chunky.
The 2014. It's really hard to differentiate by the years. The 2014 player's handbook.
I did already. There goes my I'm just going to have to put some tape over my mouth and just shut up for the rest of the episode.
Hey, man, your opinions are your own.
They are valid. You know what? There must be balance, right? The light side and the dark side of the force. So
no, I celebrate your opinions, AK. You have every right to feel how you want to feel.
Yeah.
Now, what I haven't heard from is TT.
I know.
Are you sipping on the AKterade, or do you have a different perspective?
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle with it. It's like there's some elements of it that I'm definitely on the sort of positivity end, and there's other elements where I'm kind of moving more towards the negativity. I mean, generally speaking, from looking at all the stuff that I did when I was researching for this, looking at the new PHB, I mean, everything sounds positive. The changes that they're making all sound like they are genuine improvements. So, I mean, that is something to be happy about. It appears that everything they've done in Unearthed Arcana for the last 10 years, listening to the feedback, and even the books they've released recently, like Tasha's, like they were saying that even stuff that was in Tasha's, they've re-looked at that again and said, well, okay, with the new rules and stuff we're implementing, how can we even improve the stuff we've already just implemented recently with Tasha's and revise that and make it better? So it all sounds positive. How that translates into, are we going to enjoy it as we play? Who knows?
Yeah.
And see,
okay.
Here
we go. Come on, bring it.
Spicy take incoming.
No, it's not even that spicy. I don't want you guys to get... But as you were talking, I realized it's all marketing. And so, of course, the person here that has devoted her entire career to marketing, like, I'm seeing through it, wizards. I think it's smoke and mirrors. I think...
Really?
I do.
Strong.
And I'm, as I said last week, I am willing to be proven wrong. I am willing to go into this with like an open mind about it. But in this week, I very purposefully, I channeled you, Evan. I tried to not go and watch a bunch of other hot takes around the web. My job was to research the Paladin, to watch the videos, to like take everything that Jeremy Crawford said at like face value, right? And so that's what I've tried to do. And I didn't go seeking the opinions of others. I will now that as soon as we're done with this today, that's what I'm going to go do, is go see what everybody else said about the Paladin. But I did want to come with, you know, and there was, even as I was watching the video, there are these big, huge changes that they're saying. And I'm like, is this really a big, huge change? Or is it like a little tweak that they're trying to sell to us with a whole lot of spit polish? Sorry.
Well, and to be fair, I'm not saying I like everything that I've seen. Putting that out there, but I think, you know, overall, if they can deliver on the marketing, then I will be happy.
Yeah, and I will say that I was pleasantly surprised with my deep dive into some of the Paladin stuff. Some of the stuff that they are giving does feel good and doesn't just feel like smoke and mirrors. Mm-hmm. So I'm feeling balanced about this. I think I'm just coming across maybe a little bit more strong than I intend to, which is the story of my life. So that's just how I am, y'all. So
hey,
we're
Fitz. Sorry, Fitz. No. Give us a little more. Pump up the jams.
Oh my gosh, y'all! I'm like, my volume is double what it normally is. Okay.
Oh yeah.
We just need more here.
You sure?
Sweet, sweet tones.
Say something.
Say something. I'm giving up on you.
Oh no.
No.
Oh.
We'll make this an emoji.
Oh. Is that better?
Oh wow, AK, wow. That mouth. Didn't know your face could do that. So
What that mouth do?
with all of that preamble, is it time to enlighten folks as
To
to
dive.
the updates to these few classes
Yeah.
and just general stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Who's
We don't-
going first?
Yeah, we decided we were going to dive a little bit deep today and not try and cover all the classes, but cover what seemed to us from the outside looking in, according to the marketing that has been fed to us so far, which classes look like
You
they
don't
might
have to eat it. It's just there to consume. You don't. They're not. This isn't. A Clockwork Orange. They don't have you strapped to a chair with your eyeballs taped open.
Well, let's not underestimate Hasbro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Evil
Somewhere they do.
Empire.
Yeah.
Anyways, we picked 3 of our favorite classes to play, and 3 that look like they had some of the biggest changes that we've heard chatter about the most. And if y'all like this format, maybe we'll continue diving into some of the other classes that we like and you like, or that we hate and you hate, in future episodes. So yeah, Seth. I got Seth. I'll take you. I love having you on my team. Okay. And then hold on, I saw another question. Who wants to go first? Do we want to go in alphabetical order? Or do we want to roll for it? In the meantime, Big Bro asks, you want to know what I know? If WotC didn't have the corporate entity down their throat, are they really proud of this product, or would you put more work into it? Ooh,
Oh.
that is an interesting hunt. And I do. And somebody said up earlier in the chat that, like, is there pressure to perform because of Daggerheart, DC-20, Tales of the Valiant, everything else that's coming out that they caused with the whole OGL thing? I think that, I mean, the original sin and the original salt and shade goes back to the OGL for me. And I just haven't quite healed, okay?
That raises another question for me, in that I would imagine, like, the game devs themselves at WotC have probably got an eye on things like Daggerheart and stuff like that. But the people that are actually calling the shots at the top at Hasbro probably see things like, I mean, although like Daggerheart's obviously Darrington Press, it's got Critical Role behind it, the higher ups at Hasbro probably don't even have these things on their radar because they're so detached from it. So it is an interesting question. I mean, do Hasbro have their eye on that? I don't think they do. I think they're too detached to even care.
Interesting.
I found, and we'll get to this as we cover Paladin, I found there's a lot of similarities between Paladin and Guardian, which Guardian was based on the Paladin, so that's not entirely fair to say and paint anybody to a corner, but like, it did feel very, in fact, they used the word Guardian a couple times in the Pally video. So...
Well, you've opened the door, AK.
Yarn board.
Keep trucking.
Yarn board. All right. So the biggest, I'll just kind of dive into my notes. Where did I put them? Okay. So the big thing that they're so excited about is that Paladins are both caster and martial. And so you're now getting access to spells at level 1, which is a big, huge deal. And the thing that I'm most excited about, the thing that I think it feels real and that doesn't feel like marketing to me, there's some shade out there about, so many other new game systems going action point style, or whatever we're going to call that mechanic. And obviously D&D is not going that way. But what they have done is they have improved action economy in a lot of ways. Most notably with the Paladin, they're now folding some of the class features and benefits into the attack itself, rather than having you spend an action to cast the thing that you then can't use until your next turn, or at least a bonus action. So that does feel a lot tighter, a lot better. That is something that as a Paladin, I am excited about. I'm playing a Paladin in a game DM'd by the amazing Rice Combo, and that Fitz is also in as well. They've also kind of repackaged the smiting, which I really love because that's one of the best, most powerful features of the Paladin. So Divine Smite is officially now been moved into a spell. You're going to just spend a spell slot to Divine Smite something.
As opposed to, I don't know a ton about Paladins.
It wasn't a spell. It was an ability that you could use a spell slot in order to cast. So
Okay, so kind of needlessly confusing.
Correct. Bad
Okay.
UX there. Bad design. Okay.
Sure,
So
okay.
now what they've done is Divine Smite is a spell. Just mark a spell slot, cast Divine Smite, move, boom, move on. But Paladins also get
Right.
the Paladin Smite class feature, which is the same thing, but it can be cast once a day without burning a spell slot. Because that's the hardest part for me of playing a Paladin, is in order for me to make something big and juicy, I have to use spell slots. And because Paladins aren't really casters, you get
They don't
like,
have a lot.
especially, I'll get like 1 or 2 uses of a thing. So it is super
Okay.
satisfying, I think, to get my spells are my spells. And I'll still only have, at lower levels, a couple spell slots, which is fine. A couple of cantrips. Same thing with Channel Divinity. There are now 2 uses of Channel Divinity up to level 3. And then when we get up into the higher levels, you get 3 uses. But Short Rest recovers one of those uses of Channel Divinity. Which is something I find interesting. Here's a marketing point. Jeremy Crawford was super excited about Find Steed. Is now auto-equipped for it's an always prepared spell. I have never once used that spell, and maybe that's what they're.
Steed. Sorry, I can't. Whenever I hear that word, I can't stop myself.
Yeah.
Same.
And then the other big thing, so they've given access to the full. Here, this was one of my favorite parts actually. So instead of having like this minuscule little subsection of fighting styles to choose from, they've given you the full access to all fighting styles. Or if you're me and you are obsessed with magic and casting and insisting on playing a martial character, you can forego the fighting style and get access to cleric cantrips. Which that felt like a really good change to me, and gives me the kind of Paladin that I would naturally lean towards wanting to make anyways, which I really, really liked.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
So
Without having to burn a multi-class as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I saw and like in the videos, and this is where I was like, I put my little like blinders on and tried not to dive into the comments, but apparently the way that Paladin has been rebuilt, it is no longer a functional multi-class with a Barbarian. Which, good news, we're about to talk to somebody who studied up on Barbarians this week and likes playing a big old beefy Barbarian.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
Who's that
say
guy?
that again though, AK. A Paladin is what now?
I don't know the answer to this. This is something I have to research and I wanted to talk to you about. But people were saying in the comments like RIP to the Barbarian Paladin multi-class. Apparently they've now like broken it. So they've given you some innate features where it almost feels more Guardian, more cleric.
Okay. I have
than-
answers for you.
Yeah,
I have answers for you.
I think I know why, but I'll let
See?
Evan explain. Yeah.
See, I knew, but that's where like in the, like, you can choose fighting style or you can choose cleric cantrips. That's where, and that was the point in the video where they kept using the word Guardian. I was like, we are borrowing things from other systems already. And that's fine. Like we're all inspired by the creative work that everybody else does. Let's just admit when we do it is all I ask. Let's just say.
Are they, but they're not denying it, AK.
They're
You're
not.
accusing them of
I'm not accusing
admitting it. But they haven't.
No.
Are you?
That
Are
was
you
not well. There was no like we've seen in other tabletop role playing systems. They didn't they didn't give credit to where that came from. They just started calling it a Guardian. So maybe I am accusing.
Critical. Darrington didn't invent the word Guardian.
No, I know.
So it's a little presumptive. I think.
Okay, I'll accept that.
And that's not necessarily in defense of WotC. It's just I feel like you're just a little quick to assume that they're borrowing that from.
But when would you give credit for, like, if not in the rollout and in the initial like talkbacks of things? That is the point that I would expect them to be like, hey, we pulled some features from other similar gaming systems and really liked the look of this and that and the other.
But we don't know that they did do that with Daggerheart. If that's what you're suggesting, we don't know that's true.
Yeah,
I think WotC would just say that like the Paladin being a guardian of the party has kind of been an inherent thing.
Yeah.
For years, and that's where it comes from rather than Daggerheart. Even if it did come from Daggerheart, that's probably what they'd say.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think that's, and then like there were all these, they kind of broke out the videos from the big video about the different oaths. And basically they've just made some changes to like what area of effect is called now. So the emanation is the new area of effect, because what a guardian does is they kind of like walk into battle and can cast auras to protect others in their space.
Crop dust that mofo.
Yes, exactly. So the
With
emanation
divine power.
is what that is called. And so I thought that was very interesting. And there was, I forget where it was, but like some of the emanations, basically before you had to start your turn in the Paladin's aura, which made things like really interesting for your allies to try and get the benefits. And now they've reworked a lot of these auras so that way it's either start or pass through. So like you could, the way they were talking about it, and this didn't make a ton of like, if like, so I'm the paladin and there's a 15-foot, radius circle around me, and you start, 20 feet outside of it. It sounds like if you just pass through my aura on the way to go smash somebody else over there, you're still going to get the benefits of my aura. And there are auras that give you as much as half cover, which I think is like, even if you're standing out in the middle of the battlefield, the paladin can protect you with a half cover mechanic, which.
So you get a drive-through aura.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I like that. But like, I just stand in like the center of the battlefield and just, you guys, zoop, just
All right.
You've been
collect
music
it
now.
I don't think you would get half cover outside of the aura, but I do think that there are other, it sounds like, benefits that you can cast on the way in.
Right.
So
I think we all benefit from your aura, AK.
Doesn't sound like it today.
What are you talking about, man?
You're
Look.
exuding a protective aura. You don't want us
Yes,
to get...
I'm Yes, that's exactly it. Actually, I am being protective of us because we have been hurt before, and maybe
AK, we're just having a lively conversation here, man.
All right.
Yeah,
It's the subclass, Evan. She's an Oathbreaker Paladin, so it's the aura of hate for the Oathbreaker.
Oh yeah, here we go. Where's my is this the one? Yeah, there we go. Good work. Okay.
Nice.
What else, AK?
I feel like I
the
just
big-
talked way too freaking much, and I would love to hear from some of y'all now.
Okay.
But I do want to come back to what was being said about like some of the multi-classes now being more functionally broken once you cover your stuff. So
Raise your hand if you love multi-classing. PS, and you guys out there too. Raise your hand.
Look, I love it.
You do.
Boy, do you... yeah, but only... Here's the thing. I love the idea of it. But boy, are you just shooting yourself in the foot depending on how you do it.
It's very complicated, and I don't like complicated things, so I haven't tried it.
I do not. Having done it, I did not enjoy it, and I was very happy when Matt killed me. And I love that he's not here to defend himself, and I got to come back as a single class instead of a multi-class.
In a sense, kind of nerfing certain multi-class things is kind of more better than bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, I think so. Look at that positivity.
All right. There you go. Okay, so
Well, let me now. Like, I think people multi-class because they weren't getting exactly what they wanted, so they were having to borrow things from other classes. Where if you just fix the classes in the first place, I don't have to borrow Rage because my Oath is so much more powerful and gives me the character I want to play. So.
Well, I think that's more of like, if you're min-maxing, people like to do that type of multi-class. When I multi-class, it's usually because I'm not getting the flavor.
You are a flavor saver.
Like a flavor.
You like a flavor. So yeah.
Should that maybe be something that they consider for like subclasses, whether it be revising, like obviously they're going to have made a lot of changes to subclasses anyway, but just thinking forward for the future for even like later versions, should they be using the subclasses more to give you that flavor and almost give you a mini multi-class without having to multi-class? If you want to play that paladin, like you said, now they've given you the sort of the access to the cleric spells. So if you wanted to play a paladin, barbarian, or whatever it may be, maybe that's where they should work on the subclasses to make it more like a mini multi-class.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if the Way of Mercy monk hadn't been a big ass letdown, I wouldn't have multi-classed into cleric and then shot myself in the foot in the process.
Oh, damn.
Out come the claws.
What kind of monk?
Way of Mercy.
Way of Mercy.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
I did.
Kill.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Fitz, speaking of wanting to kill, I did think about you and studying the new Oath of Vengeance.
Speaking of wanting to kill, I want to kill you.
Murder. Let's have a murder. No, I was focusing on you when I was reading about the Oath of Vengeance.
Yeah, because that's the one character I've totally ran into the ground and got dead. But oh well.
Whoopsie. All right. Druid or Barbarian, take us away. What are you two?
Go Fitz. Go Fitz.
Okay.
Go
I'm gonna keep it
Fitz.
tight, all right? Because I want to do an overlook at this. We've got, every class in the player's handbook is going to come with 4 subclasses. We've got one brand new one for the Druid. We've got the Circle of the Sea, which also uses sort of the aura system that Paladins use. That looked pretty fun. So if you want to be elemental based, you can be Circle of the Sea. And they said, I found this was quite funny. Actually, I'm going to take a second for this. With the Circle of the Sea, they tried to solve the Aquaman problem. So you don't actually have to be near any sort of body of water in order to function. You create your own water. So don't worry about the Aquaman issue, I guess. And then they have Circle of Stars, which is basically the same as Tasha's Cauldron. It just got a little bit of a boost because of the base rule changes. Now, the 2 classes that they spent the most time on and that have the biggest value to look at are Circle of the Moon and Circle of the Land. And I'm going to use those as the example of the biggest overarching change within the Druid that I feel is that you can choose one of 2 pathways and you can change your mind later. So when you're building first level, you choose between a Magician and what was the other one? I don't remember. It was Magician and some sort of like primal situation. So you're either a spellcasting Druid or you're more of a beefcake Druid at level 1. And then later on you can sort of change your mind if that's not the flavor you want to go with. Now, the first spicy thing I had to think about was when you choose the Magician version of the Druid at level 1, you get to add your Wisdom to Nature and Arcana. But my first hot take was, why can't we just make Nature Wisdom based? Please, for the love of God, why can't it just be? Why can't Barbarians at level 1 get Intimidation as a strength stat, and why can't Druids, especially for going Magician, get Nature as Wisdom? Because here's the thing, the way it works now is you can add your Wisdom to your Intelligence, and they're saying that that's a boon, and maybe it is. But what if you're playing a dum-dum Druid and you add your Wisdom and then you subtract because your Intelligence is low? I don't know. This was the first one where I was like, but could we just Wisdom though, please? Anyways, so that was my like nitpicky thing with Druid. The biggest change that has come to the whole thing is Wildshape, and I did see people were concerned with the updated changes with Wildshape that the Circle of the Moon Druid wasn't going to be as special anymore because all Druids can now Wildshape as a bonus action.
Wow.
So that was the question that I had, knowing that before I researched going in. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to see if I could solve this problem. If I could get to the bottom of it, if the Moon Druids have been nerfed or they have still retained their specialness as being sort of the combat shape changers. And I have to say, I think that they have actually gotten better flavoring.
Ooh,
I know.
Okay.
I think they got a little bit of a glow up. And yes,
Some of that moon cheese
that is a
flavor.
pun. Yeah, they got moon cheese flavor.
moon cheese. Excellent.
Because here's the thing. I don't know that I necessarily like how Wildshape works now, because you, instead of having the beast stat block, so instead of when I Wildshape, I have an AC of 11 and 10 hit points. Okay, all the Druids have Wildshaped and are screaming in my house. I'm
Juan
sorry.
Carlos.
Well,
he made it on the thumbnail. He wanted to say hey.
I know, he's my paladin. He's the paladin in our house.
Aw.
So what was I saying? Okay, so when you shape into a beast, your AC is 13 plus your wisdom modifier. So the AC is higher. And I do remember at lower levels playing a moon druid that it sucked to turn into a wolf, and then you're only a wolf for a round and then you get kicked out. So I kind of like the AC change.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that I like that you're getting temporary hit points instead of it being a stat block of hit points, because I'm not sure I like how it interacts with other features or other game elements, right? So because temporary hit points don't stack. So say you have a bard who has Inspiring Leader and you get a whole chunk of temporary hit points, but then you wild shape. What's the point of them doing that for you? Like, that kind of feels a little bad.
But you don't. Did I hear that you no longer revert?
Revert.
You don't drop
It's
the wild
your choice.
You right.
Yeah.
So, and tell me a little bit more about that, because that. And you guys know how much I know about druids.
Evan's
Pew!
favorite class.
Yeah, you don't.
Biggest fan.
Biggest fan.
Exactly.
You don't unintentionally, unintentionally, unwantedly, you do not drop out of your wild shape. You just start chipping away at your own hit points. So you can stay as a bear,
A goat. Oh,
a goat,
or a bear.
all the way down to
An
0 hit
octopus.
points. An
Sure.
octopus, all the way down to
And once you
your
lose your hit points,
then you pop
then
back.
you die as a
Yes.
octopus goat.
Well, you die as yourself. You pop and then you die,
Okay.
just like that.
And you don't like this.
I just don't like that they're temporary hit points. Because
Because-
of how it interacts with other game mechanics. Because temporary hit points don't stack.
Don't stack. That makes sense. Yeah, so
Okay.
think about an our Strahd game, Evan, where like every day Ash, our cleric, does things that give us a pool of temporary hit points. Now, if our druid, Matt, the other Matt, wanted to wild shape, there would be friction between what Ash did and what
I
he is
see.
built to do.
Mhm.
Now,
I see,
we're
I
in
see.
Barovia where he can't wild shape anyway, so that's kind of a moot point, but just to give you an IRL example.
So that
Okay,
was
okay.
that was something I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I love that. But
So what would you do? Like if you had been blessed with some kind of temporary hit points ahead of time and then you wild shape, would you then drop that pool and take the wild shape? Is that, I don't even know if that's a like, or if you just like whatever you already had holds until it's done.
yeah,
That
I
feels
don't
bad.
I don't know
I don't like
how they're
that.
gonna rule that. If you
Okay.
have to take the beast
Right.
block or if you can choose whichever is higher. I don't know, because I feel like I think right now you can choose to not take temporary hit points. So I'm not sure how they're gonna handle that. But the way that the Moon Druid specifically retains its flavor as being a beast mode combat gremlin is that you get if it's anything like the Unearthed Arcana, because they said in the video that you get more, but they didn't say how much more. So I went and looked up the Unearthed Arcana, and for all the other class, you get temporary hit points based on your Druid level, I believe. And then if it was Circle of the Moon, it was triple that. So I don't know if that's what they landed on, but it would be nice if you just get more.
Our good friend Glenn
Yeah, you
Venn
choose
says
whichever
you
is higher.
choose and you choose the higher.
All
All
right,
right,
all right.
So,
Ruling on the table already. I like this.
rolling on the table.
Executing
So,
in
yeah.
real time.
And what kind of temporary hit points can you get? Right? Like, is it a lot, or how chunky is it? Because I mean, some wild shape forms are like made of hit
One.
points,
Yeah.
or and some are one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I went to the Unearthed Arcana for that, and it was based on your Druid level, if I'm remembering correctly. So we'll see if that remains or not.
good.
But some of the upgrades to Wild Shape was the thing that was like the biggest change to Druids. They wanted it to be more accessible and more versatile. So you can now, all the classes have different things that you can use Wild Shape slots for if you don't want to be a shape changer. So you can basically use those Wild Shape slots to do Find Familiar. So if instead of shape changing, you want to have a little friend, like an animal companion, you could do that.
Yeah, I saw that. Druids now kind of have their own familiars.
Yes, so you can have your own. You can cast Find Familiar using your Wild Shape slot,
Wow.
which was super cool. And then what was the other thing that you can also like harvest your spell slots at level 5 for extra wild shapes.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
nice. So you don't feel like
And
you have to save them.
Wasn't there also a connector in the other direction? You could use Wildshape
Yes,
for
but
spells?
you can harvest one wild shape slot for a level 1 spell slot, but only once a day.
Okay.
So you can infinitely take spell slots. So if you don't want to be a caster, if you just want to be a shape changer, you can infinitely harvest all your spell slots.
I
wild
love
shape.
you calling it harvesting, by
Yeah.
the way.
But
Conjuring
only,
a really great image here.
yeah, harvest your spells.
Now, I have questions,
I'm
Fitz.
ready to harvest souls. What?
Harvest all.
I have questions.
Okay.
So you're saying there's like a wizard versus a beefcake,
Mhm.
and since I know very little about druids,
Mhm.
what do you mean? Like, so you can choose to be a spellcaster and then you don't get you're not a shape changer, or
No,
vice
you are. You
versa? Like,
just-
what does the beefcake mean?
So you get, if you choose the magician, I believe you get like an extra cantrip and man, I'm sorry, I did not get that granular with my details, but you just get benefits to being more spellcast based, whereas if you choose the primal one, you get more flavoring for your shape changing. I'm so sorry, I did not commit that to memory. I got excited about wild shape, but
No, it's okay. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I just didn't know if like beefcake meant you had no spells.
No, you do have spells, you just don't have as many.
Okay.
And like, so the one thing that's super cool for if you decide to go the magician route was at high enough levels, you can basically turn into like a bird spell sniper. Because at, what was it? Level, it's like 15 or 16, you can, if you have chosen the magician route along the way, your cantrips or your spells now have a range, I think it was cantrips, have a range of 300 feet. So you can turn into a bird and sling like spells from the sky and rain death from above, which I
Wow.
think is incredible.
Yeah. Poop.
And then
Poop bombs away.
yeah, bombs away. But if you want to be like, they called the Circle of the Land is the ultimate nature magician. So if you want to be a spellcasting druid, you should go Circle of the Land.
Like
Is
full
what I
on
was.
patchouli wearing, grungy ass.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if we think about the first druid that I ever built, that I built because I wanted to wild shape, but I chose Circle of the Land, and all she did was sling around spells because wild shape was so broken for her.
Yeah.
So I like that they've kind of like pumped that up. See, being positive, juice that even more.
Juice it
You're gonna
even
let
more.
me spellcast. Let me frickin' spellcast.
Look,
Okay.
yeah, here's the thing. If you want to bing bong, fuck your life. Choose, if you know, you know.
What?
Choose
If
Circle
you
of the
know.
Land.
I don't know, but I want to know. Does that does that
we'll,
count?
We'll share the video in Discord
If you want to have
after.
pocket pigeons that you
Bing bong, fuck your life.
you use to mess up everybody, you choose Circle of the Land. But Circle of the Moon, here's the thing. At 18th level is when every druid can cast spells as a beast. Now, except for Circle of the Moon. You can cast spells, very specific spells from your spell list as a beastie at lower levels. Which to me
Okay.
is like
Love that.
so good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they won you back with giving the Circle of the Moon a little bit extra. Now, does that mean that are those nonverbal spells only, or do druids even have to worry about things like that?
Guess what? You can speak in wild shape now because you aren't
Aha.
that animal. You have shifted to look like that animal.
Ah,
Mhm.
and which means
like
that
that.
your
I like that a
intelligence
lot.
is also the same.
It was
as well.
always, and that was the kicker, is that before when you changed into an animal, you always kept your mental stats, but you couldn't speak.
Oh, okay.
Whereas
Is that
now you can
polymorph
speak.
that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, you're thinking of polymorph.
Okay.
Does the level 20 moon druid still get unlimited wild shape?
I believe so.
Ooh.
And
Unlimited oil changes too.
unlimited oil changes. Yep.
What?
The
Free lube jobs.
Yeah, there it is.
the one thing that got changed to a higher level is the one thing I'm not sure people are going to care about, because in current 5e, you get Timeless Body, which is the thing where you age slower at 17th level. But now that's an Archdruid 20th level thing. And I'm like, I don't know that people care about that, so maybe that's a thing to move. I don't know. Maybe some people care. I don't know that I care.
I will go on the record and say I don't give a hoot nor a toot about that.
Toot.
So bottom line, Druids even more powerful than before.
Even more reasons for Evan to hate Druids.
Look, I don't know that they're more powerful than before. I think they're a little bit more, what's the word? Versatile than before. I think they function a little bit better than before, particularly for non-Circle of the Moon, because it was always a bummer that if you weren't Circle of the Moon, you had to wild shape as an action.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's how little I know about Druids.
And Fitz warned me about that when I built my first Druid, and I was like, that's not a big deal. I hated it. I was filled with rage, and I wished that I had... No, I didn't, because I loved that I was from the swamp, and the cool swamp things I could do as that character. But, like, I never wild shaped, unless we were, like, on an exploration mission, and I needed to, like, become a bird to fly over and snoop on somebody. Yeah. I don't think I ever used wild shape in battle, not once. And that's all you did as Drew.
Yeah, non-Circle of the Moon Druids suffer from really horrible bonus, like they just don't have bonus actions.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I think this helps. Yeah. The only thing that I now wonder about, I've gotten a lot of answers for Druid stuff.
Okay.
But there's one thing on the table left answered.
Okay.
Which is, they mentioned nothing about being able to shape into elementals. Because currently, once you get to like 10 or 12, I'd have to double check, you can expend both of your wild shape slots to turn into an elemental. And I heard no mention of that in any of the videos. So
interesting.
I'm curious that, they talked a lot about the different beasts and the creatures and what you can use your wild shape slots for, whether that be to summon a familiar or to use it for your like sea aura situation, I think was one of the sea things you could do, because you can now use your wild shape slot for a lot of your subclass options. Yeah. But I did not hear them say anything about whether or not elementals are still on the table.
Interesting.
So that's my last question.
I wonder if you have to use a spell slot for that. But yeah. I had a lot of fun as Sora as a water elemental, so that would change my feelings there. Interesting.
Okay.
I love a Druid. I am excited to play a Druid. I did just see a comment. Somebody doesn't play D&D but loves the Druid in BG3, which Fitz finally got to get your little paws on some BG3 and Druid building this week.
I had a great time. I did.
Oh, yeah.
It was on
Raise
sale.
your hand if you're in love with Halson the Druid on BG3.
I've started trying to flirt with him, and he's not having it.
What?
Yeah, apparently you can't flirt with him until he joins the party. So I'm the second I will be able to flirt with Halson. I'll be romancing the Druid.
Okay. I did have to that was the one. Sorry, that was the one encounter I had to reload because I accidentally told the goblins, like I didn't attack the goblins. I was about to walk away, and then I was fighting Halson, and I was like, no, this isn't what I want. So I had to reload. And I hadn't saved in a while, but it was worth it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Anyways,
gonna be boning Halson.
I want to hear some stuff from DT because here's the thing. You've been quiet, but my dude, you were the one with the deepest amount of knowledge on 2024 that I have heard so far.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it was more just the kind of the sort of generalities. I mean, so I've got a kind of summary which I can like quickly run through for you for the 3 different books, and if there's anything that you want to try and delve more into what they said, then by all means. So, in terms of the PHB, it was what Alison was saying earlier, that there was a lot of fluff about, it's the largest player's handbook ever. Is that a good thing? It's been rebuilt and redefined for better reference and character creation. Well, okay, great. Over 100 pages of spells, apparently, close to 400 new ones. Not sure we needed that, but fair enough. They've added a lot more non-combat abilities for all the classes, which is good for doing stuff out of combat. They specifically highlighted in on the Barbarian on that one, because they were talking about how instead of like, what was a Barbarian good for outside of combat? Maybe just intimidating people, especially if you're playing the himbo version. But they've now given everybody specific non-combat abilities to make them more useful outside of combat, so that's good. Obviously there's more simplified crafting rules. They've added specific rules for the tools and given them, like, tied them to abilities now and given them actual in-game stuff to do. So it was stuff we kind of already homebrewed anyway, but now they've actually said, look, if you've got cartographer's tools, you can actually use them. They didn't specify what the in-game benefit is, but they've said that the tools now have a specific in-game benefit. So, I mean, just speculation here, maybe if you've got cartographer's tools and you craft a map, maybe that allows you to then travel distances quicker because, you've created the map. They also said that they've put these things in the game, so there is actually now, like using the map example again, there is actually now maps that you can go to the store and buy. So whatever that in-game benefit is, you can go to a store in a town and buy a map and get that in-game benefit. But if you have someone in your party that's got cartographer's tools, they can craft it for you for, I assume, free, or if there's some kind of component cost there, I'm not sure. The big one is probably weapon mastery.
Before we get to weapon, because we all know, like, weapon mastery is floating around the internet, but I love that what you just said there about crafting, because I feel like picking tools, unless you're picking thieves' tools, they go largely ignored.
Totally.
In a game.
Yeah.
Maybe alchemy.
Tool scrolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe herbalism. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did talk about, in fact, where did Jeremy say that? Jeremy said that you can craft... What was it? I've got it somewhere. Yeah, so you can craft all of the standard and martial armors, weapons, adventuring gears, potions, and spell scrolls.
Oh,
Potions.
You can craft all of those. So yeah, so you can now just craft health potions. Don't have to buy them.
that's great.
Interesting. Because
Magic item crafting is restricted to the DMG though. You need the DMG for the magic item crafting rules.
Okay.
I didn't
That's-
realize in seeing crit roll craft health potions that they were homebrewing that was not an official thing. I just didn't know.
Well, I think you can use a herbalism kit to do something similar. Yeah. Or just, get a little high, whatever makes you happy, I guess. But
Yeah, you just nip down your local dispensary.
I don't know I don't think you're actually making health potions.
Yeah. It just feels like it takes forever.
Yeah.
And by the time, never mind.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you can craft a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and interestingly, kind of related to that, because it now applies for everything. Inspiration has been, from what they were saying, I think it's just inspiration that's been renamed. So they're now calling it heroic inspiration, or I don't know if it was always called that. I've only ever heard it referred to as inspiration. But they've changed that up because now inspiration does not give you advantage. It is a reroll for any roll in the game. So if you want to get a better damage roll, use your inspiration to reroll it. If you cast a healing spell and you roll low, use your inspiration to reroll it. You can now reroll literally any roll with your inspiration.
Okay. And if it's worse,
Sucks.
Sucks to be you.
Sucks to suck.
as inspiration, do you still have to take the second roll, or
I would imagine so, because
Take
they
the highest.
specifically said it doesn't work with advantage now. It is just a reroll. So
right?
that's the luck of the draw, I think, on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you can do it for damage though, because it doesn't solve, but it helps work towards solving the problem of, I just rolled a natural 20 and then I rolled a 1 on my d6 for.
Now, are you talking DM's inspiration or Bardic inspiration?
This is the DM's inspiration, I believe.
DM's inspiration. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the inspiration that you are granted.
But don't a lot of tables play with their own DM inspiration rules anyways? Like, that's one of the most homebrewed things.
I mean, I think at this stage, after 50 years, every rule in D&D has been homebrewed by somebody at some point.
Yeah.
It's
For
fair.
sure.
Fair.
Interesting.
I other than that, in terms of the general stuff, the player's handbook, if in case we're going to go into weapon mastery a bit more, obviously they've redesigned all of the backgrounds now. So all backgrounds now include a free feat at level 1, because that's now part of your background. So feats have been reworked so that they've got what they call origin feats, which is the feat that you get at level 1, and then there's epic boon feats that you get at level 19, and then in between that are all the sort of regular feats. Yeah, feats.
The amount of times I heard feats while
Yeah.
doing research made me giggle so hard.
That is the one thing I'm
Just
like,
normal
come
feats.
on, y'all. Why are there
Feats.
4,000 different feats? Because
Yeah.
in my house with paws, you have hand feats and feet feats. So now that's all I think about is toe beans when talking about D&D feats.
All right, well, we are officially calling our feats toe beans, hitherto and henceforth.
Okay, so
Feet feats are just toe beans.
let me rephrase then. You all now get origin toe beans and epic boon toe beans, with plenty of normal toe beans in between.
Beautiful.
Nice.
We love toe bean.
Love to see
Moment.
it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so the backgrounds give you your free feat now, and they also now are what inform the ability scores. So I believe the way they worded it was that the backgrounds all affect up to 3 feats, and it's kind of carrying on from Tasha's. You can choose. You can either have a +1 to 3 abilities or a +2 and a +1 instead.
Oh, nice.
And so it's kind of I noted down in my notes on it that it felt sort of Daggerheart-ish in the fact that in the way Daggerheart's kind of got the your ancestry and class, they're kind of doing the same thing here, where your background makes up half your origin story, and then your sort of species, as they're calling it now, makes up the other half. So very sort of Daggerheart-ish there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other things in terms of the PHB other than weapon mastery, just very quickly, were obviously, as Fitz already mentioned, the creatures. There's revised all the stat blocks for all your mounts, familiars, Wildshape options. They are now all in the PHB, except for Moon Druid stuff for higher levels, so you don't need anything other than the PHB to get all that. They talked about the 3 brand new subclasses that they've added, which is the Circle of the Sea Druid, which Fitz mentioned, the College of Dance Bard. So I'm expecting a lot of breakdancing bards and the like going forward, and the Path of the World Tree Barbarian.
Evan, could you tell us? I did not look at it because I knew you were presenting us with Barbarian information, but I'm very, very curious about this. Can you
World Tree?
elaborate?
I think
Yes.
you're going to like World Tree Barbarian.
Yeah?
It's
Tell me more.
Yggdrasil Barbarian.
Yes, Yggdrasil. Yeah, you want to hear about her right now?
I want to hear about it right
Because I
Yes,
think
please.
weapon
Hear about it
mastery deserves
right
its whole other, that's a discussion.
It really is. And my first question is, and I just won't know until we're playing it. One of the things that we found playing DC-20 was, at least I found, that it could be difficult. You have so many maneuvers, so many things to remember.
Mhm.
It would be like I'm constantly looking at the sheet to try to keep my mind on, oh yeah, I can do this, or I can do that, or I can do this. It's just a lot, right? With the weapon mastery, now it's specific to the weapon, of course. So, but are you going to remember to do it? Or maybe, I know DC-20 has their own weapon mastery, and there's a new one for 0.8, and I don't know anything about it. But another analogy is like DC-20, you have weapon passives too, and I would never remember to use my weapon passives.
Yeah.
So is weapon mastery going to be one of those things that I just constantly, it's like Hunter's Mark, like, oh, damn it, forgot to Hunter's Mark again. So I'm curious about that.
We'll have to chat about that.
Very quickly on that one, just one example they gave of why I think you will remember it, Evan, and why I think you will like it, because for me it is one of the big positives. One of the examples they gave, and they did give a few which we can go into, but the first one they talked about was on the dagger. You've got a weapon mastery called Nick, and that allows you to make the extra attack without using the bonus action.
Yeah.
It's just free. So you keep your, you use your bonus action for something else, and there's a lot of, as we talk about it later, there's a lot of tactical elements that I think it's gonna make it a bit more enjoyable, I think.
Yes.
Weapon mastery might make a martial lover out of me just yet.
Right. Yeah.
I said it.
And similarly, AK, you can swap out, your weapons after, and similar to spells, I guess. I don't know that much about casters, but on either short rest or long rest, you can swap out what weapon master you can load, essentially.
Okay.
So that's maybe just having that more variety about what they can do might entice you to be.
I feel like we need to do a one shot soon, Evan, where like you and I trade, and like you're gonna have to play a caster, and I'm gonna have to play a marshal, and we both go like all in on it. I feel like that would be fun to do.
Well, this is they've made the barbarian for you. That's not to say that this barbarian is a caster per se, but it's the most closely tied to magic that I've really heard of. Having said that, well, that's probably not really true. Full disclosure, I love barbarians, but I've only played in 5e a barbarian once, and that was a Path of the Beast barbarian. And I loved that. It was super duper fun. So there's actually a lot about just all the different barbarian subclasses that I don't know. Just disclaimer. Anyways, the Path of the World Tree is brand new. And P.S. before I jump into that, like you were saying, Fitz, there's only 4 subclasses. So they're 86ing a number of subclasses. I assume that's true for Paladin and Druid as well.
Well, I don't know that they're getting rid of them. These are just the ones that are going to be in the player's handbook.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stuff they're definitely... I mean, I'd imagine they will add more because, like, one big thing that's missing is no Artificer.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even notice that.
Interesting.
Is that a result of all of the crafting work? Because I was wondering if...
the Artificer, man.
The Artificer was never in the 2014 PHB, and they've kept the core 12. They've not added in Artificer or any others, so they will have to add that back in unless there's going to be an uproar.
TTP, check in with us. Let us know if you're okay. We're thinking about you during this difficult time. Where is Matt to play us a dirge when we need him?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. All right. He's
For only £2 a month, you can save TTP.
Oh my god, are they going to do an ASPCA commercial for the Artificer? That's how they're not doing a subscription model. You have to save the Artificer.
Save the Artificer.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe that'll be one of our upcoming one-shots. Save the Artificer.
Save
the Artificer, save the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the world. Tell us about the Tree of the World.
The Tree of the World. Okay, so the concept with this barbarian is that they are deeply connected to the World Tree, and similarly, it's not specifically Nordic mythology. You can certainly, it sounds like, flavor it that way, but they similarly think of the World Tree in terms of all of the realms and dimensions that are in 5e. That's just like in Nordic, where you have Svalheim and Midgard and all of the things that the World Tree connects. It's the same idea, right? So you're connected to the source that is this magical tree, and that's where your power comes from, and it really gets released when you go into a rage, right? So high level, you get to do stuff that is pretty effing cool, typically at kind of higher levels. So at level 6, there's something called branches of the tree, and you can teleport somebody, unwilling or willing, to you. So say, your wizard's getting his ass kicked by somebody. You could just go yoink and just drag them over to you and just start wailing on them. Or if, similarly, you could, I think, and I might have this wrong, but you can, save somebody else, right? They don't have to be unwilling, that you could just go, Dirk. At level 14, then you get, it has another name, I forget what it's called, but this is also in a rage, and you can teleport up to 60 feet along the branches, the roots of the World Tree. You just teleport, and then I think you can spend once per long rest, you can increase that range to 150 feet, and you can bring up to 6 people with you. So yeah, so basically, the interesting thing about this is that apparently the strategy against barbarians for a lot of baddies is, yes, exactly. When a barbarian wants a hug, bam. Apparently an effective strategy is just keep away. Like, just stay away from the barbarian. Stay up in the air, do whatever you can. Just don't get near them, so they're going to, unleash a bunch of damage. Well, this one is going to make that really, really hard. So that's pretty cool. They can also they've got a Paladin-esque type of thing where you can tap into the World Tree Vitality, and it's sort of like Lay on Hands, but it's just for yourself. So essentially, it's just like keeping yourself from dying up to a point. You just keep giving yourself temp HP. I don't think that you can give it to others, but maybe, I don't know.
Which
I was unclear about that.
Was already one of the most broken things for Barbarians, even in 2014. Fitz and I encountered that when it was like our Barbarian just couldn't die,
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. I never had a need for temporary hit points ever, but maybe that means that you
mean until Vecna killed your ass?
Yes, that is true. One time.
Yikes.
The one time you could have used them.
I did. Yeah, exactly. You don't need them until you do. What else? So the idea about this particular barbarian with the teleportation, it's got a lot of features where you can force movement. So you can push people back. You can push and follow them. You can extend the reach of your melee weapons by up to 10 feet using these roots. So say you've got, and I was watching the Dungeon Dudes, and they made the point of, say you're fighting with a halberd or a glaive or something with 10 feet, beyond melee, and then you can extend that another 10 feet. And all of a sudden and then you're pushing people down. That's the other fun thing about the when you teleport baddies to you, when you do, their speed's reduced to 0. They're prone. Or their speed's reduced to 0, I think, but then you can knock them prone because you can topple. They've got all kinds of fun stuff to do. So you can really control the battlefield if you mix and match all of this stuff together. Obviously, it's going to take me playing it to really get my arms around it, but it does sound pretty cool.
Look, if I had a soul, it would be shedding a single tear, because what you've just described is a tree-based, nature-based barbarian.
Yeah.
Just yoinks and yeets.
Yoinks and yeets.
It has the tree flavoring, granted, but literally everything I just heard you say, Evan, screams Kratos, God of War, to me. They've made the path of the God of War barbarian.
Interesting. I've not played this game, God of War, although it looks pretty awesome, and I know he's voiced by the actor who plays Teal'c from Stargate.
Yeah, Christopher Judge these days.
Thank you.
Nerds.
I nerds. But I need to play that game, but I can't say that I understand. I don't get that reference. If you want to elaborate.
Well, Kratos started out in Greece, so he was Greek. He was a Spartan, and eventually earned the nickname the Ghost of Sparta for reasons that you'd have to play the games for. And so the original 3, and I think there were some side games as well, were all based on him essentially obliterating the Greek pantheon and killing them all, culminating with Zeus, his father.
Okay.
Then, when they moved to like the new games that we've got now, the ones you've most likely seen, the latest God of War, and God of War Ragnarok, they moved Kratos into the Norse pantheon. So how you fast travel in the game is walking into a portal, walking along the world tree, and walking out of another portal. And so everything that you can, and like Kratos also has his blades of chaos, which are like blades that are on chains wrapped to his wrists, so extending the reach for his attack. So that's what I'm saying. Everything you kind of just described there sounds like they've made a barbarian version of Kratos. And
Somebody
I said that very
was
weirdly.
playing that game
Yeah.
and said,
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Build that.
okay, well, it sounds like I need to play that game. Sounds
Oh yeah,
awesome.
they're fantastic.
All right.
I'll just briefly go over the other barbarians. Path of the Berserker got an update. It sounded like the main thing about that was like that's the most classic like F shit up, fuck S up. I don't know.
Let's say one, but not the other. Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're gonna go for it. Go for it.
So apparently one of the big pain points was that you could do Frenzy, which gave you whatever bonuses it gave you, but it gave you exhaustion. So now they took away the exhaustion component, it's redesigned. So that's cool. Mindless Rage. Instead of in the 2014, charmed and frightened states aren't just suppressed. You could just end it. If you're in a mindless rage, just nope. You can just totally nope out of those conditions.
No brain, no problem.
No brain, no problem. Exactly. Now, there was a couple of things that you guys mentioned before. One in relation to Paladins. And this was in, I guess, Unearthed Arcana, the Path of the Zealot, which is also kind of similar to what you're describing with Kratos. It's a god-based, divine kind of based barbarian. So this maybe takes that paladin barbarian multi-class need away. It didn't sound to me like it had a ton of paladin features like lay on hands and stuff like that necessarily, but it did sound cool. Like it sounded more flavory to me than anything else. Honestly, in what I watched, they focused a lot less on that in Path of the Wild Heart, which was formerly known as the Path of the Totem Warrior, and more on Berserker and the World Tree. And the one other thing I think someone, maybe DT was you that brought up, trying to make barbarians more useful out of combat. The way that they're doing that is with something called Primal Knowledge, which can make certain ability checks. You can choose to use strength instead of anything else, depending on what it is.
Okay.
So,
I like that.
So just, also they get something, all barbarians get something called Danger Sense that's been upgraded. I think you had it before, but I don't remember having Danger Sense with my barbarian, but it's basically like Spider Sense. Previously, you had to see it to sense it, which seems like it's already there. Now you don't have to see it. Like if you're on the battlefield and you can't see it, may not matter. And the other kind of big thing for barbarians is probably the biggest thing, just in terms of raging, is that you no longer really have to worry about dropping out of rage. You can keep your rage going with two different means. One, if you force an opponent to make a saving throw, that will keep your rage going.
Okay.
So if you're Dragonborn and you have a breath weapon and they have to make a saving throw, then you're good to go. And if you don't have any other options, then just burn your bonus action to keep that rage going. So that's nice. I've never really mutants of rage. I as a barbarian, I never really had that problem often. Although it has happened to me quite a bit in Baldur's Gate, where you get out of combat, you don't get hit, you don't have an opportunity to hit. So, anyway, and that's the T.
I do like the change about being able to use strength for other ability scores, because maybe it's just the way my brain works, but I just go straight to this big hulking beast of a barbarian just there sipping tea with the pinky up. Let's look through the library.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I made the argument earlier, like, why can't intimidation be strength? Well, I guess now it can be.
Right,
And,
exactly.
I feel the same way with the Druid stuff. It's like, why can't nature be wisdom?
Yeah, charisma intimidation is using your words. Strength intimidation is breaking your finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm into it.
100%. 100%. And I don't know that is going to be applicable in every ability check scenario. Seems like wouldn't be universally, but
Right.
Right.
Is
more
there
so
like a
than
limitation
the
to
past.
it? Is it a resource you have to spend? Do you know?
I don't know. It didn't seem that way, but I don't know.
Okay.
I hope it's not, because I would just love the thought of being in a game and just being like, I am so angry, I now understand physics.
That's right. You just tap into that primal understanding
Physics knowledge.
of physics.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
As you're yeeting the elf across the field, I've now
Yeah.
calculated the exact
You can yeet them
trajectory.
and then teleport them back,
Yep.
and yeet them and
Uh-huh.
And
teleport
then
them
eat
back.
them again and understand life, the meaning
Yeah,
of
they're,
life.
they're not just getting randomly yeeted now. He's going to land exactly there to activate this trap that will kill him over there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're
love
now
it.
playing pool with him and
Yes.
just like
Yeah.
figuring out all of the angles to hurl things.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I'm here for it.
Well, good job us covering, the first of many of the, I guess now 12. So 3 more episodes to go if we
know.
do.
And
Yeah.
to be fair, we just barely scratched the surface. I mean,
Yeah.
this is high level.
Well, there's not, there's like the introductory videos, but there isn't, until the
Yeah.
books and things get,
We
there's
can't
not
deep
much
dive
we
on
can
it.
go. And
I
to
know.
Evan's point earlier, like some of this is, we're just kind of making some assumptions and otherwise without getting to read it. So
Right.
Yeah.
Play
And that's
it.
exciting.
Yeah, playing's the big thing.
I am excited. I will take back some of the shade that I have. I am, and we've talked about this a lot. 5e being kind of our comfort blanket. We haven't mentioned this yet, but we were together last weekend, and we tried to like homebrew some of our see, could we exist in a world where a 5e game does have action points, and how would that work, and stuff like that. So we're all still going to be a bunch of murder hobos who try and break, but at the end of the day, it was nice to like slip back into 5e and have some just like level of understanding of like, I know what to do.
Yeah.
So this is, I've been trying to pinpoint since last weekend, and we were trying, but it was a combination of kind of the nimble system and creating our own homebrew rules around action points and how many action points do you get and what's that going to break? Oh, it's going to break this with a rogue. It's going to break this with somebody else, and blah, blah, blah. So we were trying different things just to find something that felt fun and happy. And it was hard, number one, to do that. But oh crap! I had a point and I totally forgot it. Dang it! AK, what were you
good, too.
just? What were you?
It
It was really good. What were you just saying?
Talking about slipping back into the cozy security blanket that is 5e. Talking about like integrating action points into as a homebrew. That was really it.
Oh man!
It's gone.
Oh, it's gonna
It's
come back
gone.
the second we hit.
It's yeah. Let's keep going. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, check the
Stolen
comments
by-
later.
Stolen by a fairy.
Exactly.
I'll take that.
Yes.
Yeah, I was interested in hearing whatever spicy
know.
take you were about. Was it spicy? I mean, we were talking about we're being excited to return to D&D after wandering and roaming and
There it is.
Found it.
Thank you.
for you.
It's not that spicy, but the thing I've been thinking about since then was, what is the thing about 5e and about the action economy that really is the pain point? I mean, it's probably different for different people. If like maybe min-maxers, it's different, but for me, it's all about. I think the joy of games like Daggerheart is that you have so much more opportunity to interact with other players.
Yes.
Right. That is the pain point. That with any initiative system, you have to go in order, and there's limited things that you can do. And, and then people are checking their phone and they're whatever, they check out, they're not engaging. That is the pain point to solve for.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've made minute changes, like you were saying, Nick and other things that kind of free you up. But we still need more encouragement to
collaborate.
We got to play our Strahd game together, one of our home games, and afterwards we kind of did a postmortem, and Matt, R.I.P. Matt, wherever you are.
Taken
He's
by.
he's
by a
right
Dark.
there.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
which layer of hell
Hey,
is
buddy.
Matt in right now?
Yeah, exactly. He was just saying like, oh man, I forgot how much of a slog 5e combat can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You know, when you watch Critical Role combat, it doesn't feel like a slog when you're in it and you're like leaving it all on the table, so to speak. It doesn't feel like, oh god, this is just, I mean, sometimes it can, but I'm thinking of like, you know, some of the big boss battles where they're clearly all amped and being as descriptive and in it as and focused on each other as they possibly can be, like good improvisers are. So I guess my question I'm saying is that is it the game, or are the energy level that we're also bringing to the game?
Is it the game or is it us? Are we the problem?
I mean, yeah.
I would say a bit of both. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely if people are bringing that level of energy and that level of focus and they're not checking their phones and they are right there with you and they're, you know, their laser beam focused in it and everyone's doing their thing then yeah, sure, it keeps you in it a bit more. But it's just the fact of like, part of the reason why I like Daggerheart so much since we've started playing it is the fact that there is no initiative and it is just a kind of like, well, okay, I'm going to go because I can do this, and then that sets you up for that. Whereas in D&D, you can sort of meta game, quote unquote, and talk, but it's hard to do that with initiative because if you're out of the order, they then have to say, well, I'm going to do this and hold a turn, or they're just going to skip their turn. And I mean, I played... I think it was a wizard recently in my last game of my previous group, and I'd purposefully designed the character to be about battlefield control. So I'd given myself like to try and get as high initiative as possible. But in those fights where I didn't get a good initiative roll, all the things that I could set up for like spike growth to slow enemies down from coming in and do chip damage as they're trying to get to us, none of that pans off, because what happens when I don't go first and I can't set that up? The melee characters run straight into the foe, and then half my spells are completely obsolete and useless, and I'm just standing at the back like, I'd love to be engaged, I can do nothing, where's my phone?
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
feel
felt
ya.
that when we played the last game of Daggerheart that we played, GM'd by Rice Combo, I just felt like that combat was infinitely more fun, and that we were all like very leaned into it, and we were all like playing to our strengths. Whereas D&D, a lot of times, like even in the combat, the Strahd combat you just mentioned, the slogginess of it comes from like I'm going to settle for best case scenario every time. Well, I couldn't do this thing because that happened. Whereas like in Daggerheart, you really are kind of like masters of your own destiny. And as long as you're playing with a cool group of people, which I have been very, very lucky to only play with great people, there was such a natural like give and take and ebb and flow of like, hey, you're going to like hit this guy hard. Let me go first and make sure that your hard hit is even harder. And it just was like this beautiful dance in a way that it doesn't matter what we homebrew and what we try and break in 5e, even though I love and crave the familiarity of it. I don't get the collaboration and the group mechanics, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
I find 5e really is that like, it is the familiar language that we all speak. It has a lot. It's just a broader system, so you can play more subclasses and there's just more available to play and choose from, which I love. But then there's always the problem that I come back to, which is that in Daggerheart, there's no initiative in it. It feels more collaborative and free-flowing, and regardless of the system, whether it's DC 20, whether it's Pathfinder, whether it's D&D, any action point or action economy based system, you're gonna run into the issue that we ran into last week and have run into before, which is I'd like to help you carry the body of your fallen character off the battlefield, and it's taking way too much jiggering just to I'll grab their feet, you grab their hands, and somehow you're talking about holding actions, and suddenly you can't hold actions because you can't hold your movement, and it's like, can I not potato sack this guy?
Yeah, my buddy off the field
with my friend
and fire off a spell,
right,
slung over my shoulder, sack of potato style.
Exactly. Whereas in Daggerheart, you would just be like, hey, You want to help me carry this dude? Let's go. And
Let's
you do
go.
it.
And
just
you two
do
go
it.
over there and provide cover.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yep.
conversation could clearly go on forever,
I could.
and I'm fine
Good.
with that.
Yeah. And it will.
We'll
There's
have
nothing
to.
wrong with that.
Yeah, we had a game prep, but we'll just save that for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
know.
play Cryptid or Crafted
put
another
it-
time.
Put it in the kitty. Let's do it next week. Sorry, TT.
I know, it is the game for you.
It's all good.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll
We'll
give
have
me
Just
to,
happy to be here.
Uh-huh.
We'll have to have you host. What if we have you host when we do a Bud and Herb takeover, and then we'll play Cryptid or Crafted?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
How's that?
That's pretty exciting. So next week I will not be here. I wonder who will appear in my place. This has become a fun new game to see.
Well,
So I
we
will.
have another
I will miss
Paladin
y'all.
who could join.
Yeah. Oh, is it Juan Carlos?
No.
Action economy and 5e versus initiative-less systems like Daggerheart.
Gives nary a hoot nor a toot.
What? What's that? I don't know.
He wants to know if there are cookies in either system.
Oh no. No way.
There are if you play online. But I'm sorry.
And with that, we'll see ourselves out.
Bye.
Wait, hold on. A couple more things before we go. Speaking of Daggerheart, we do play monthly games with our patrons. Signups for that start tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. We've got 2 sessions coming up later this month. Get into our Patreon if you are interested in playing some Daggerheart with us. What else? Do y'all have anything? Any song to sing before we go?
Don't forget, if you want to have, we listened to you guys, and we do have that $1 membership if you want the tentacle emoji. Otherwise,
do it for the tentacle.
Patreon's the place to be.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for being here, DT. Thank you for beaming in all the way.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, are your
All the
arms
way.
tired? Thanks for flying in.
Wow, we're very...
Wow, you guys.
What's happening today?
Woo.
We don't
yes.
usually go for an hour and a half, and it's like 100 degrees. My brain.
It is 100 degrees outside and probably inside of my house. Yes, like and subscribe. Thank you, Drew. I have a friend whose niece likes to make YouTube videos, and she ends all of them going, like and subscribe below. And we all do this. And so if you guys see me doing that, I'm just making fun of her in my head. So like and subscribe below.
Yes.
All right. Well, everybody have a great weekend. If you're doing long weekend fun things, enjoy those and don't blow any fingers off.
I know. Thanks everybody for coming.
Goodbye.
See ya.